Hi there, my name is Hailey O'Gorman, and today I got top 4 at the Worcester Regional with Maliss. As a disclaimer, this is entirely a vanity project, just as a form of reflection on my sense of achievement here. I'll go through the card by card here. So of course we have the standard Maliss engine, which is 3 Dormouse, 3 White Rabbit, 2 Chessie with 1 Terraforming. This is then accompanied by 3 Maliss Underground and 1 of each Trap. This is, I think, the generalized standard Maliss engine. I didn't want 2 Chessie because I think it's an unreliable starter and requires a 2-card combo to be feasible, and I'd like to minimize the chances of that with how it disrupts the hand specifically. And playing 4 copies of Maliss Underground I think is really, really important. In terms of engine, this is a deck where you don't really want to see too much of your engine, but you want to see enough of it to be able to push and extend. So for that reason, I decided to play 3 Allure, and of course the mandatory 1 of Goldsark. Allure is, I think, a absolutely fantastic card in Maliss, specifically for how it allows you to filter through your hands. So a lot of really difficult hands, you'll end up with a bystial plus a name. And more often than not, if the combo goes through fine, you'll be able to summon your name, use your bystial, link off, so use your bystial and such. What Allure allows you to do is, if you have another name in your hand, another normal summon specifically, it allows you to keep playing, while simultaneously accruing a couple of cards of advantage. Similarly, I main deck Shifter, so it allows me to filter through inoperational copies of cards that cannot be played anymore. As well, it creates 3 slots in the deck that can very easily just be sided out for games 2 and 3, so you can keep the quantity of your engine in deck higher, whereas I found without it, I was siding out a lot of engine, causing brickier games under Lancia and Chaos Hunter. Gold Sarcophagus, well, it makes your 1-card combos a little awkward, the same way it does with Maliss Underground. It can represent really good extension with any of your names. For my Bystials, I was on 7 Bystials. So, of course, the 1 Mag, the 3 Druisworm, and the 3 Baldrake. I was previously on 1 Saronir, but I wanted to make space for the Allure. And I think this was right. In matchups where you don't need it, they're pretty flexible. At the same time, you kind of want to keep them in. I think they're absolutely great cards, and I'm really, really glad we've committed to playing them. For the non-engine, we play a hefty amount. 3 Ash, 3 Shifter, 3 Metal Tronus, 3 Dominus Impulse, 3 Imperm, and 1 Triple Tactics Talent. So we're on 42 total, and while I recognise Maliss has a lot of inconsistency issues, I wanted to keep 1 copy in my deck at least. You'll see with my side from my Open and YCS Birmingham list, I've been cutting down this card more and more. I found actually I end up breaking a lot of games with talent specifically, in ways that I found pretty frustrating. However, I don't think I can get rid of it out of my deck entirely, specifically for how it trades into Chaos Hunter, as well in the Mirror, and into Detonator. In versus Ryzeal, it can count as your next copy of Tronus if needs be. If I was braver, I think I'd play more copies. Main decking Shifter just feels and plays correct, giving you such a powerful interruption on your opponent's turn, no matter what they're playing. Even the Mirror, I really, really like it for how it limits the opponent's board. So more often than not, what the opponent will do is they'll go for Firewall plus GWC, or they'll go for Cryptor with GWC, which allows these to trade really, really favorably. In games 2 and 3, that might be slightly more variable depending on build they're on. If you're on feuds with cards, of course, you keep it. But like I say, it depends. But that's it for the main deck. Of course, there were a couple of games today where I did just hard brick. I didn't open any engine. However, because of the quantity and quality of your non-engine, you can sort of just keep playing until you find your engine, or you're able to back up your engine with, say, a bystial, or something like a couple of bystials, or impulse specifically. Was really, really useful today. For the extra deck, I played 2 Link ones, Link Grebo and Link Decoder. I like Link Grebo just as, firstly in the mirror, it's fantastic. And also, if you are entering a grind game and you're under shifter, I just like to think of it as reserving Link Decoder as such a powerful resource in my extra deck, as a free sort of Link 1 to link off a name, gets trigger effect to summon back. I played a bunch of Link 2s. So I played Serb, Phoenix, Little Knight, Dark, Splash, Haggard, and Ip. So 7 Link 2s altogether. This is more than standard. I don't like a Bow and Phoenix, though I see their versatility with Turnus. I instead like these two. Firstly, always having a discard, especially if I'm under shifter, feels really, really good. For how this trades with Ryzeal Cross, which is such a problematic card for this deck. I really, really like. For the mirror, Dark is just fantastic. As well, if you brick, if you have 2 bystials and your opponent has something in attack position, crashing this is really, really favourable. There was a game today where I just had I was on a top deck with 2 bodies on field. I managed to get to a lure. So I sent my Dark into one of their monsters, added Dormouse, and then resolved a lure, with knowing that they had no cards in hand. IPSP, I like IP just as an emergency button. If I'm in a game state where I know I'm able to get a body back or get a third body from my opponent's turn, I don't mind it. It feels like Typhon. A lot of the time when you summon it, you feel like you're losing. However, there are times in turn 1 setups or turn 3 setups where if you're able to filter through this, you kind of feel really, really, really good for just being able to use your extra deck as a bit of a toolbox on your opponent's turn, especially if you've been Manciate as well. SP, of course, really, really good at just targeting a card in your own graveyard to get its trigger effect in the banishment. At the same time, being able to break boards with this card just feels and plays really, really well. These 2, to bring back your names, I never summoned either one of these today, specifically because Ogre is now in the format. I really don't like... they're mandatory, I think, because you need to be able to convert 2 bodies into 3. Both these enable that. However, I think they are such choke points that you can naturally sort of play around. Yeah. Like how Splash Mage trades into bystials, I find really, really frustrating. For my Link 3s, they're the obvious ones. I used all 3 today. In games where I wanted to guarantee follow-up, something this is great. And of course, ending on Cryptor plus Shifter in a lot of matchups is fantastic. For Link 4s, Firewall and Access Code. I don't think I actually ended up summoning Firewall today, but in the open, I was using it a lot. A lot of my M boards were look like this specifically, so that's IP here. Apologies for the glare. IP in a zone not directly underneath Firewall Dragon, with White Binder and Grave. This I find interrupted the Ryzeal setup really, really effectively, as well as this being able to target a bystial in my own graveyard to add it back to my hand if I need to use it on my own turn. Oh, and lastly, of course, Ryzeal Detonator for Metal Turnus. I wouldn't leave the house without it. Lastly, for the side deck, 3 Droll, 3 Lancia in gold because we're sinful, 2 Lightning Storm. This was previously 1 Harpy's Feather Duster and 1 Triple Tactics Talent, just as my second copy to accompany the one in the deck. I realised going to 42 that I want to have the ability to see the same cards more, and having 2 of the same card I think was the right thing. It came up a couple of times today and I'm really, really happy I had these in my deck, specifically for, again, the Mirror and for Blue Eyes. That's kind of an inconsequential matchup, but for Ryzeal as well, for sided games, specifically where they're looking to set 3 or 4 cards plus cross. Having this for back row and then having another copy you can search with Triple Tactics Thrust was really, really great. As well, of course, we have the 1 Call by the Grave. I was always setting this card in, whether I was going first or second. I was setting it in all 3 copies, because we play so many good in-engine targets. And of course, the 1 Call by the Grave for Artifact Lancia, as well as Fearless, Purlia, and Maliss. Lastly, our 3 thrust targets. We have Different Dimension Ground, Artifact Sanctum, and Dimensional Barrier. This is for Rogue and Ryzeal specifically. Keeping them off the graveyard for a turn works as a pseudo-dimensional barrier, especially in hands where they're relying on X to resolve, or Node, for example. And D-Barrier cuts them from the extra deck entirely. This as well is really, really good into specific rogue matchups, and Mermail, not a rogue deck at all. I wanted to have something in the side deck for it that wasn't just Dimensional Barrier, because I don't really like Dimensional Barrier trading for Bahamut Toad. I like a way of keeping them off, sending things for cost. That's it for the list. I'd like to give out my vanity, my vain thanks, obviously, to everyone from Bristol, specifically Joe, James, Jacob, Rio, Sam. You know who you are. As well, I'd like to give specific thanks to the Cornwall lot, namely Heather, Jean, and San, and of course my loving partner, Ren. Thank you for watching. Thank you for indulging.